Hello, and welcome back to another gay book review. This time we're talking The Alpha's Son, The Alpha Son Book 1 by Penny Jessup. Surprisingly, this is the only hardcover gay romance book I own. Not surprisingly, but surprising in the sense that I didn't realize I had it as a hardcover, and I didn't realize hardcovers were so expensive. Anyway, I have a lot to say about this book. Some good, some not so great, some meh. Just overall my kind of thoughts, if you will. And also, I don't introduce myself. Hello, my name is Ryan. I'm your host here at, Charlotte Sky Book Reviews, and kind of just like a hodgepodge channel where I do anything, basically. So, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what your thoughts are if you've read this book. If not, do you think you're going to read it? Let me know. So, as we start going through this, as per normal, we're going to touch on the story, the characters, a lot of the plots and tropes and stuff, so just be aware that there's spoilers ahead. I hope you are prepared for that. If you want to read the book beforehand, stop here and come back. I don't blame you. So, starting off with, let's introduce the characters. We have Max Remus and Jasper Apollo. So Max, well, they're both shifters, but Max is introduced as a shifter. He kind of is our introduction into the world of shifters in New York. He's less concerned with finding his mate, as we find out in the beginning. It's almost the time for the moon to happen. I think it's the blue moon or blood moon or something like that, where they're going to be having their pack building nature. They're going to be basically throwing horny teens at each other and seeing what sticks, and I find that hilarious. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun stuff, So yeah, it is a Blue Moon Festival. Cool. I just want to make sure. Anyway, but he's introduced as not being super obsessed with finding his mate, much less so than his friend Katie. He likes drawing and ballet in equal measure, if you will, and he's kind of brave and stupid in the same regard in equal measure. He and Katie are first introduced by going to an ballet with one of the characters we'll get into later, Aisha, I believe. And then Jasper... What do I say about Jasper? I mean, he's emotionally stunted, as are most men. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. If I'm reading a gay romance novel and the male love interest is not emotionally stunted, then who the fuck am I? But he believes since he's the alpha son, he has to live up to his father's expectations. And that father is a rather strict and overbearing father. He is the next heir to the role in the alpha in the pack, and I get that. He's got a lot to live on and kind of a lot to do. But, God, I want to punch him in the face so badly, So... let's introduce the side characters before I get into the plot-heavy details, if you will. So we have the side characters, Aisha Miller, a famous famous ballet dancer, and unmated, as she claims, except for her work. She has a human boyfriend, Scandalous, and, she's just kind of living her life. She's not really mate-obsessed like anybody else. She loves her job, first and foremost, and she loves her human boyfriend. And she's not wanting to find a mate. She's never participating in the Blue Moon Festival. She's not there to do the mating run. She's just there living her life and vibing, and we love that for her. We have Katie, Max's best friend, and obsessed with finding a mate. She is wanting that D, and I don't blame her, girl. You get that D. We have Jericho, Jasper's father, the head alpha of the New York pack, if you will, which is interesting because the way they describe this, the pack is massive, and yet Jericho is the head of them all, and yet has to know everything that's going on, which seems a bit strange that they describe it as the alpha can sense everyone in the pack and where they're hurting and where they're struggling and stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, it's like Big Brother's watching you at all times. Anyway, so we have Eleanor, who's assisting with the Blue Moon Festival. She is being used by her father to get Jasper as her mate. Her whole family sucks. She sucks. We don't like Eleanor. Fuck off, Eleanor. And then we have Todd and Simon, rival mates for Katie. Typical mate fights between them trying to claim Katie as his own. They're pretty nondescript as characters, I will say, Todd and Simon. But I would love to be railed by both of them, so who am I to judge, And as we move into the story elements, so in the beginning, Max is late to meeting Katie for the ballet show when he runs into Jasper, who he doesn't know is Jasper, on the street. Max immediately dislikes the guy for being rude and unapologetic when he is revealed to have, caused the smashing of his phone, if you will, because he wasn't paying attention. And Max and Katie then go see Aisha perform in a ballet, and it's great. Jasper's also there, looming above, and Max just keeps staring at him for some reason. Wonder what. And then Max and Katie are both invited to the Blue Moon Festival. Max is not happy about this as he doesn't care about finding a mate, but Katie is literally over the moon. When Max and Katie arrive, they meet Eleanor, Jasper, Aisha. They're surprised to see them all there again. They do some fun, dumb team bonding activities that are led by Jasper, and he is the alpha son. He's got to prove himself and his ability to be, take charge, kind of alpha, So I do appreciate, like, it's basically summer camp, if you will, for horny teenagers who are gonna fuck, So that's fun. We love it. They do stuff like dodgeball, I think, tug of war, stuff like that. Just kind of dumb high school stuff, like you would do. Like I said, like at a summer camp. But during their mating run, Max finds Jasper, and the pair realize they are mates. And then Katie yells in her human form. They find her and Todd and Simon fighting each other over who will claim Katie as his. So, typical bullshit of like, oh, they're same mates or whatever. With the Blue Moon now over, though, the pair introduce their mates to their families and head home. Except for Max, because, Jasper doesn't want to acknowledge that, and everyone just believes that Max didn't find a mate, which is, not unsurprisingly, because, like, there could be a mate out there in a variety of places, and not everyone comes to the Blue Moon Festival, so you might find them later in life, But because it's the Blue Moon, it's the time when the veil is, like, this weakest, if you will, and their more instinctual side comes out and wants to be like, I'm down to rut, let's do this. So, the Blue Moon Festival, I would say, takes up about maybe a third, maybe about just under a half of the book so far, and then we get into the real good shit. So, after the Blue Moon Festival, Aisha and Max are hanging out. They're fond of their art, and their styles of art, and they're doing their own thing versus finding a mate. Aisha, I keep going to say her name wrong, but Aisha finds out that he is, in fact, mated to Jasper, and they exchange numbers, aka Aisha gives Jasper's number to Max. And Max doesn't text because he's what? A main character. But Katie does it for him, as best friends should, to break the ice. And then Jasper arrives at Max's house out of the nowhere, out of the blue, and reveals that Aisha's missing, and the pair leave to go find them. Jasper, throughout the entire book, refuses to accept Max as his mate, calling him a bonehead and reckless for getting involved, despite Jasper literally showing up and getting him involved. And then, just the bullshit of, like, if you're hurt, it'll reflect bad on me as the alpha son. Ooh, I gotta do better, just kind of dumb stuff. Jasper, in a dick move, invites Max to his birthday party as a way of breaking his heart by announcing his engagement to another wolf that he is not mated to. Great. We love this trope. I love this trope. But anyway, Jericho and Jasper are captured by rogue alphas. Max helps save them, but at the end, Jasper still rejects Max for his safety as the Luna, quote-unquote, alpha's mate, as is a dangerous role. The reason being is because Jasper's mom, the former Luna, was murdered because she was the Luna, So it's just like, he doesn't want that for Max, which I can respect. But again, it's emotionally stunted adult men not talking about shit, And I say adult men as in, like, I don't think Jasper's an adult, but, like, he's, like, college age or whatever. Anyway. Let's go talk about some tropes, though, because, oh my god, this, I think, had most of the things that I like in ABO romance. So, let's talk about it. ABO. I don't recall if they used the word omega, per se. It's not the typical hierarchy of alpha, beta, omega, as explicitly laid out as the Luna doesn't get referred to, I think, as the Omega, which is interesting. It's a different kind of spin on it. I appreciate it for what it did. But they do have alphas at least, and they have fated mates. I love mates. We love this. I love mated alphas. I love being drawn to somebody and trying to, like, well, he doesn't want me, so, I just have to get over it, that kind of stuff. I eat that shit up. There's lots of fucking kidnapping in this book. For a single book, there's, like, 3 people who get kidnapped. I mean, technically 4 if you want to be specific, but we have Aisha, Jericho, Jasper, and Max all kidnapped at some point during the story. Like, honey, who's just kidnapping these fucking people, and how are these people so easily kidnappable, One of them is a fucking alpha, a big alpha. How do you kidnap him? Anyway, unrequited love, question mark. I mean, Jasper continually rejects Max as his mate, but strings him along, like, gives him just enough to, like, get by, like a kiss here, maybe, a small, like, hug, a nice kind word. It's just, like, very much hot and cold, And then Max at the end, and during it tries to convince that, it will be fine. we'll be fine, Jasper. But Jasper ends up leaving Max in the end, and there is a part 2 coming out in November where it's chasing the Alpha Sun, and I'm probably gonna get it because I like this one, and it's nice enough. But like, if it ends on another fucking cliffhanger, or not happily ever after, I will fucking revolt. I don't care about drama if it wraps up nicely in the end. You know, I don't want unhappy lovers at the end of a book. And then we have something called Rogue Wolves, which I found was an interesting concept for like the whole ABO shifter space as a whole. These are wolves that don't belong to a pack, and it's nice to see that some wolves making a quote-unquote smaller pack with a leader, but not an alpha per se, that are like rejecting the main pack, but still find a pack to like, you know, just kind of like fuck around in, I guess. It's interesting, you know, but they're not like traditional packs because obviously they're evil, so like they're not good. But I found that interesting that they like included this like rogue wolf pack, but not calling them like a pack, but they're acting like a pack essentially, you know. So let's go into some rankings, let's say. I've got a lot of shit to say about this book. Mostly good, I would say. Some a little bit bad, but mostly okay. And as far as we normally go through, we'll touch on the plot, the characters, the writing style, the spicy scenes, spoiler alert, not a lot, if any, and then the overall kind of like what my thoughts were. So the plot, for as much kidnapping as happens in this book, I liked it. I really enjoyed the plot because it's, and I hate to say that, I just contradict myself about, I don't like a book that doesn't have a happy ending, and I'm giving this one a 5-star because I like the plot because it didn't have a happy ending. I don't know. I like that they're like, how do I say this? Not immediately falling in love and being like, ooh, I love you, after knowing each other for maybe a month, maybe, you know? I like that kind of realism, and that felt like nice. That like, yeah, Max doesn't know what he wants because he thought he was going to find a mate and like be stuck with some girl, or like, maybe he'll get a guy or whatever, you know? And he's like, I'm open to both. I just want to be happy, you know? And then he gets the asshole he met in town or in the city, and he's like, yeah, no, what the fuck? But I guess I'll make it work, you know? He's trying his best. I love fucking Max, you know? Max is the fucking best character in this book by far. By far. Katie, oh, I didn't even touch on Katie. Katie's a fucking little hoeing it up over here. She's fucking stringing along Todd and Simon, and neither of them know until the end, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And yet I was dying. I wanted Katie to get that DP lifestyle. I wanted she to claim both Todd and Simon as her fucking alphas and have them be as a 3-way happy triangle. And I'm like, I would have fucking loved that. And I hope, because it feels like it, I hope they do that in the next book. Penny Jessup, if you're listening to this, I hope to God you do that, because if so, I'll be fucking over the moon. Speaking of, as we're kind of touching on the characters, I actually like the cast. I didn't see any of this coming in terms of like who was bad and who was evil. I had no idea. I was just like kind of like along for the ride. And if you listen to my last review of My Bad Ex-Boyfriend, that mystery fucking could not care a lick about. This mystery of where Aisha went, where Jericho is, who's the bad guy, I was fucking in. I was like, oh shit, we're here, we're thriving. I'm in it to win it, let's go. The characters I think are good. Max is a little bit whiny. Jasper's emotionally stunted. But like, he did lose his mother. That's to be expected, you know? And then Max is just, he's relatable in a lot of ways. But I think the character work really shines in this, and Penny Jessup is a phenomenal character writer. They do a lot of great exposition, and I appreciate everything they do for their characters, because that was what made the book. The plot and the characters sold me immediately. What didn't sell me, though, was the writing style. Oh, sorry. Skipped one ahead. You'll see the spicy scenes later. I've dog-eared every single pop culture reference that I could find in this book, and there's a lot. There's a lot. And I'm just like, I'm trying to look in this page and figure out like why I marked down this one. But it's just, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of fucking references, and I'm trying to find one, and I'm failing at it right now. But it's just, there's just a lot. Oh, okay. If it isn't the sexiest she-wolf since Shakira, that's like, oh my god, okay. Cringe, like, line I've ever read in my life. I'm like noting all these pages, and I don't know why, like, I did it. Oh, is it on this page? But there's just like a lot of, like, like I say a lot, and I'm struggling to find any of them, and it's hilarious. So it's just like there's a lot of like pop culture references and like kind of witty lines that I don't think work. Like or is it, do they highlight every single time they say "Oh my moon"? Oh, there's only a Snickers bar-sized gap through which steam is escaping, and I can see Jasper. It's like I don't need that description. I'm sorry. Like I don't know. Like okay, have I woken outside of Wayne Manor? Is Batman waiting outside with hot cocoa? Like there's so many references to like just pop culture stuff, you know, just like of what I'm going. Like they say the absolute GOAT. Like I don't I hate to say this, I don't like when pop culture vernacular or pop culture references are just littered throughout a book. They mention Lion King, they mention Batman, Shakira, Snickers. I like dog-eared like maybe like 10 to 12 like references, and sometimes they're like maybe less than a page apart. That's like really like I started doing that like with the first one, and I'm like, okay, that's a cute little reference, and then I kept doing it, and I was like, oh, there's an issue here. And I'm not saying it's bad, it's just excessive in my opinion. Like if it isn't the sexiest she-wolf since Shakira, I didn't associate Shakira with ever being a she-wolf. Like not in a she-wolf, maybe she is a she-wolf in this game, in this book, whatever. I don't know. But for me, it just took me out of it. It really was just like, oh yeah, Snickers. Now I'm hungry for a Snickers. You know, it's just like that. I'm like, I would never describe, it was a Snickers-sized gap between the door that was letting steam out, and I could see Jasper in the shower. I'm like, honey, just say it was like, you know, there was a 2-inch gap, an inch gap. Like, I'm sorry, that took me out of it. I like the book and the premise as a whole, all the pop culture references, and like product stuff, and like, no, I'm fine. If it's done sensibly, if it's done smartly, fine. This was excessive. And then spicy scenes, there's not a lot, which is fair, because like they're really kind of just promoting, you know, the love story, and like there's some pining, obviously, you know, and stuff like that, but there's no outright like full-on penetration sex scene. I don't think they get there. And I read this a little while ago, so I could be completely wrong on that front, and if I am, apologize, but it wasn't what I came here for. You know, this was more of a high school slice of life shifter romance, and I'm okay with that. I think the other book I'm going to be reviewing probably next week, Love Blood, it didn't have much in the way of sex, I don't think. I'll have to double check when I like do the review, but it was fine. So overall, I'll give this book like a 4-star. It's enjoyable. I liked it. I'm excited for the sequel. I'm not excited for the price of the hardback because I have to get them in sets. If they're hardback, they're all going to be hardback for me, so we'll see. But I enjoyed it. I highly recommend that you read this. Get it as a paperback. Sometimes the paperback is more expensive, and I don't know why. Amazon explain, but I got the hardback for some reason. Maybe it's because it's on sale, maybe it's because it's cheaper, I don't know. But I enjoyed it. I definitely recommend picking it up. The art on the cover is fucking adorable, and it really, really helps solidify the images of the characters in my mind, at least of the main two, because there's nobody else on the back or in the front. But like, I got a sense of like, oh, Max and Jasper, I can tell who they are. Jasper is basically Derek Hale from Teen Wolf, and I'm a big fan of that, basically. So let's talk about books I would recommend if you are wanting more ABO in your life and you can't get enough of the Alpha Sun. Let's see what we can recommend for you today. So I can never not stop talking about these two series. If you want ABO, specifically more Alpha, Beta, Omega, specifically Alpha and Omega content, I would recommend Feral or any of the Wrong Alpha books. I haven't read the first one or the fourth one, but 2 and 3 I've read, and they're both phenomenal. So Alessandra Hazard, definitely recommend picking up either of those if you like spicy Alpha Omega content, and I'm a big fan of that. If you want to actually Happily Ever After, which, I mean, Feral does have Happily Ever After as well. Mind to Save, the whole Pine Ridge Pact book series, solid. Jada Marks, also phenomenal. Those are a lot shorter, in my opinion, but less, I wouldn't say less angst. Light angst, a lot of fluff, Happily Ever After. My kind of tea. You know, I like reading the dicking down, and I like reading, you know, Happily Ever Afters. And if you want to support me, or I should say, to those who support me on Patreon, thank you so much. Let me give you a shout out here, friends. Big shout out to Potato Kingdom for supporting me on Patreon, for just me doing all this fun stuff that I do. I appreciate your support, my friend. I appreciate you and you sticking around and supporting me in what I do. And if you want to support me, or if you want to just follow me in other socials and stuff like that, you can find me in the following places. I am on Twitch nightly at 6 p.m. PT on twitch.tv/RadaSky. I stream a lot of JRPGs and a variety of games, from horror to slice of life to visual novels to JRPGs, like I said. So it's a good time, fun times. If you ever want to see what I'm doing or what I'm up to in terms of streaming schedules or just life updates in general, you can follow me on Twitter. I know this will probably change at some point, but if I can ever get into Blue Sky, I will change that, because Twitter is a fucking shit show and it doesn't work on my phone. So it's just great. It's fun. And then if you do want to support me in these videos that I do, feel free to support me on Patreon if you want. For little as, I think, $3 or $5, I should probably know that off the top of my head. You can just drop me some change, and then I'll be happy to make more videos. And I'm always going to be doing this, so thank you so much for hanging out with me for the last 20 minutes, and I'll see you guys next time as we talk about, I'm guessing it's going to be Love Blood, because that's the next one I have queued up to review. And then, yeah, let's get into more books, and hope you have some good time reading ahead, and much love, my friends, and stay safe out there. Have a good one.